Hello and welcome to Driven by Doing podcast. Today we have got Augusto Vidales. Augusto, welcome to the show Driven by Doing.
I'm glad to be here, my man. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today. And looking at your profile, and just got connected last week through a common friend. And I'm
hmm
super excited to connect and also learn a lot about digital marketing because you're an expert in that domain.
Thank you.
Especially in the last 5 years, I have been working in digital marketing, and I'm super excited to learn even more from your expertise. And since because you work with a lot of different clients from all around the world.
hmm Yeah, man. It's funny how through these times people get a lot of connections, and we were able to connect through our friend Justin. So that's amazing. Thank you for following up and making this happen. So glad to be here, man. Glad to be
Yeah.
here.
So going back a few years ago, so where are you originally from, Augusto?
I was born and raised in a town called Cartagena in the Caribbean coast in Colombia. I was born and raised there.
Wow. So you came for your higher education to University of Tampa
hmm
back in a few years ago. Help us. How did this whole journey began? Like, do you always
Yeah.
wanted to come to United States for your higher education? Because that's a
At
dream for a lot of international
yeah.
students, right?
Yeah, and honestly, at first, I was just a high school student in Colombia, and I was so naive, and times were so different. But I knew one thing, and I knew that I didn't want to stay home. There was something inside of me that, don't get me wrong, Colombia is a beautiful country. There's a lot of opportunities there, but something inside of me was like, let's try something new. I'm very adventurous at heart, so at first my thought of going to the U.S. to study started as somewhat of a joke, maybe. I was like, I'm just gonna do the SAT and let's see what happens. And then I took the SAT. My scores were not that good, by the way, but I took the SAT and I was like, okay, let's check out some of these universities in the U.S. So I applied to, I believe, only like four universities. Um, University of Hartford in Connecticut, um, some other universities up north in like Providence and New York, and then University of Tampa. Why Tampa? I have no idea. I think they went to my high school like a couple times, and because they went there, the name just stuck in my head. And I applied to University of Tampa as well. That was in 2012. So my goal was to go to the U.S. to study, but I had another selfish goal, which was to play soccer in the U.S. collegiate soccer. So I came to the U.S. because I wanted to experience college in the U.S. because I got in and I thought it was going to be a good opportunity. I was blessed enough to get the student visa, get everything sorted out, and I just wanted to come to the U.S. College and hopefully play collegiate soccer, which that took an interesting turn. But if we get to that, we'll talk about that. But that was 2012. I came to the U.S. to Tampa in 2012 for my undergrad studies.
Yeah, and then you did your bachelor's in international business management, right? So do you always wanted to get into business side of things, not just become another IT engineer, or?
Yeah, I was never too much into math or a very hard math, but I knew that I had to take I need to like take advantage of a broader course of something that would teach me a lot of different things. So I changed my major I think four times in college, but it was everything through the same like umbrella. So I initially came to Tampa to just study business, super broad. I degree in business, and then I switched from business to marketing, and then from marketing I switched to I think it was international business and a minor in marketing, and then finally I was like, okay, let's just do international business management. Period. That's what I did, and yeah, I just because I thought I wanted to learn a bit of everything, and at the time, honestly, like me and most of my friends, we had no idea what we really wanted. And we were like, just throwing a shot in the dark and be like, okay, let's just study business and see what happens.
Wow.
So That was really, I had no idea what I really wanted back
Yeah, I
then.
think especially I was recently reading some stats like 85% of the students, especially who are getting out of high school, don't really know what to do in their career. And sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. But again,
Hmm.
like getting into school, getting exposure to a lot of different things, I think it's the best time to like really see what that career that you really wanted to pursue throughout your life. And I think
A
that's a
hundred
major,
percent.
major milestone. And sometimes even parents might not be able to like really aware of what's those
Yeah.
latest technology trends that are going out there and what their kids really love to do. And sometimes
Hmm.
it is even difficult for parents as well. So did you get any guidance from your parents to kind of like decide on the major or the path that you wanted to choose?
Not really. I'm lucky. I was very lucky that my parents were just very supportive of whatever I chose. They did. They never pushed me, but they were like, think about this way. Like, if you do business, you learn a little bit about some other stuff, and maybe it's gonna apply in some may other roles. Um, but I don't think they ever like pushed me towards a certain degree or anything. They basically supported me, and they're like, choose whatever you think is gonna be good for you. And what you said is super important, and I think it deserves to be noted here is that a lot of people go to college without knowing what they really want to study, and that's okay. Like there's a lot of pressure on getting a specific type of degree, and ultimately, what we truly enjoy is what we truly excel. At least that's what I think. And there's a lot of pressure, but in college, actually, they really nail that idea on us that it's fine if we change our majors. It's fine if we're not sure of what we want, because when you think about it, we're like what 18, 19 years old making a life decision in college, so it's fine to try stuff out. And sometimes, yeah, guidance from parents is important. My parents were like, oh, just think of something you think you like and you can change it. But now you're there, make it happen, do something.
Yeah, because especially I'm originally from India, and if you have
Hmm.
any friends who are from especially those Asian countries,
Yeah.
like a lot of us
Yeah.
are engineers or doctors, and typically,
Yeah.
like you see most of us like either taking those choosing either of those paths, and it's interesting that like especially in Colombia and the way like your surroundings or the way you brought up having that like initial thought of hey getting into business might be a broad area but I might
Yeah.
want to test different things and see what works and what I really like. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then slowly you went on to pursue your MS in marketing. So
Hmm.
at that stage when you did your bachelor's in international business management, then did you get some clarity, hey, like I think I'm interested in marketing, let me do a master's in marketing?
Yeah. Yeah. So slowly through my undergrad in business, I took some classes in biobehavior, psychology of negotiating, and I started realizing that I like that aspect of um, rather than doing a balance sheet or rather than doing that side of business, I really enjoyed the psychology side of it and helping people make decisions like um, setting a product up to succeed. So I started to realize that I enjoyed the marketing side of it. Very late in my career, so I couldn't change to like a marketing degree. But I was like, this is interesting. Like I like this marketing stuff. So I took a class in marketing, took a class on behavior, psychology, and this weird stuff that what makes people buy. What's the trigger in your brain that's gonna help you buy. That's when I realized that I liked marketing, but I never thought about doing an MS. And we can get into that now. But that's to answer your question. That's when I was like, marketing sounds kind of cool. Like I don't like this accounting stuff or this really finance or economics. I kind of like this marketing side of
Hmm.
things.
So when did
Yeah,
you get exposure to digital marketing? That's what your real expertise right now is. Like when did you get
yeah.
that exposure for the first time and then you started liking it?
Through those classes, and then um, I think my last year in college. My last year in college, I moved. That's a really interesting question. My last year in college, I moved out with one of my best friends. Still to this day, he's my brother. I love him, and he's super entrepreneur, like very like entrepreneur. He had a bunch of different companies, so he had a business at a time. He had an app. like a yeah, like an app. Let's
Yeah.
cut that sim like
Is
cut it
it
simply. He had an
Michael?
app.
Is it Michael
No,
or
no,
yeah?
no. But it's an but from so we all met through the same business fraternity. That's a funny story.
Gotcha.
But this is my other friend through the same fraternity. We met, and he had an app at the time in development, and um, I moved in with him, and he just wanted idea. He just wanted me to help him. Like, yo, like I'll give you an internship through my company, non-paid, obviously, very startup, like very bare to bones company, but he had the great idea. He had the development going, and he said, "Just help me out. Let's help me do some market research. Help me out to see what people like in apps and stuff like that." And through there, I was kind of exposed into like the market research aspect, and then through him, he exposed me through stuff like Facebook marketing, stuff like um, landing page optimizations. Because if we wanted to drive people through his website to download the app, we wanted to make sure that it was written, the copy was well made, um, the website was optimized for mobile and for desktop, and it was built so well that people just follow through naturally to hit that download button and then stuff like that. So I was exposed to a lot of different things like that. And the mixture of me doing classes in psychology at the time, it all felt like it all connected very well, you know. Um, that was, I think, the spark in my head that was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I like doing this stuff. I like, you know, making sure I write in a way that it's very convincing. Um, and it's just all part of marketing, all part of making sure that your company sounds well. Not only that, he also had investors. So we had to create, you know, like one pagers, making sure that when we go to like little events, we had everything set up correctly. We knew our pitch. All this little stuff just was like somewhat of marketing, and he exposed me to that. And he also had other ventures in which he did a lot of e-commerce. So through e-commerce, you know, a lot of digital marketing, a lot of Facebook marketing, a lot of Shopify, all this cool stuff. So, and that was through my last year of undergrad, um, while being an international student. So I was exposed to a lot of different things. And there I was like, oh, this marketing is actually pretty cool. Let's
Wow. So
explore it more. Yeah.
getting exposure to a lot of these different tools, I think it's really cool
Yeah.
that you got exposure and then you started exploring it more, doing market research. I think those are some of the areas. Like it's all hands-on, right? Even though it's an
Yeah.
unpaid internship, you got exposure to kind of like see through. Hey, like this might be a small startup, but that exposure is what really helped you I guess to really like it and then test different things and see what works and what doesn't. So I think that's cool.
100%.
And why do you think like now anyone should actually pursue it? Right now you are an expert in this space. Why do you think like students or anybody who's interested in marketing should pursue digital marketing specifically?
Um, I think that's so. I think our world basically evolves in different phases. Um, 20 years ago, it was all direct mail. It was all this physical stuff. Now everyone is adopting digital methods. Uh, we're doing this call through our computers, and everything right now is just heavily involved with our phones, with our computers. And there's so much overload of information. And unfortunately, the methods that we used 20, 15 years ago are not as good as what methods we can use today. So, and this is my biased opinion. I work in the industry, but I believe that the best way to get your message across and to target the person that you really want to target, it's through dealer marketing, at least for 85% of what I see in my day to day. Yes, when you get like little coupons in the mail, that's still effective to a certain degree. But if you really want to get into the weeds of things, and if you're a company with a low budget, um, the barrier of entry to do a Facebook advertise, um, it's so low that anyone can do it. Anyone can learn from it, and everyone can do it very effectively. And if you're somebody that it's really freaking good at making sure that your ads on Facebook or Google or Bing or LinkedIn are really well made, their cost per acquisitions are amazing, Your return on ad spend are amazing. I think if you're really good at that, you can be an extremely valuable tool for any company in the world right now. Um, I just think that's how it is. And now with COVID happening, unfortunately, um, a lot of all these companies are moving to online, and I think it's just where we're headed, and we're there now. Numbers or trends are there. More companies in at least all the industries that I've seen, at least Latin America, North America, are spending billions of dollars in the digital marketing industry. So it's a growing area. It's fun. It's evolving. Um, and if you like it, then definitely I would say have at it. And it's
Yeah.
easy to learn too. It's easy to learn. It's not like a medical degree that you actually have to like go to school for that decade, or
Yeah.
if you want to study law, you have to, pertain per your state's laws and stuff like that. It's the barrier to entry is low. You can learn a lot through different certifications online, getting your hands on. You can build your own business online and market your business online. It's very easy to learn, and if you're really good at it, you can make an extremely big impact with any company. That's why I
Mm.
think that's a long answer, but I think
Yeah, that's
that's why I think
amazing
it's really.
because that actually is my next question, because what I feel, especially working in digital marketing myself, is with proper training, you can absolutely do it, irrespective of whether you have the background in marketing, whether you have a degree in marketing, it doesn't really matter because the tools are available online. I mean, you can easily learn how to create a Google ad or a Facebook ad,
Mhm.
and learn, like, create a small blog and, like, start posting ads and optimize your web pages. And I think the best way that, I mean, we all can learn about digital marketing is actually by hands-on, as you rightly mentioned.
100%.
100%, right? So it's just that sometimes students might not be aware because this is not being taught in colleges, right? Hey, like, create a Google
Mhm.
ad, create a Facebook ad. No, right? So you have this
Yeah.
digital marketing textbook that you're going to read through the entire semester, and then you're going to write a
Yeah.
test about it, like about the concept, like what's an
Yeah.
A/B testing. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
A/B testing is a process of dividing
Yeah.
so you learn it in the textbook, but, like, especially looking at from a student lens, it's actually something that you get hands on, and something
Mhm.
that you really can do it yourself. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of students might not even aware of, because they're not getting exposure, because they are
I mean,
thinking that,
yep.
hey, getting a degree in marketing can actually lead me to become a marketing specialist or work for a big brand. Yes, of course you're going to get a job somehow to get into marketing, but just trying it for yourself and getting that exposure, because it is very easy to get in. You do not
Mhm.
even have to spend a lot of money. I think just having $100 and then
Yep.
just posting like
Spend it.
yeah, spend it on Facebook ad. And, like, I mean, YouTube, I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of friends just go to YouTube and learn about, like, how to create ads or how to post ads. And in fact you also mentioned about certifications, and
Mhm.
those are some of the ways where we can easily get trained online and do some certifications in digital marketing. So if somebody is listening to this, irrespective of what their background is, whether if they're a student or a professional, what do you think is a good starting point? Like, there are a ton of tools out there. I mean, it can be overwhelming sometimes too,
Yep.
right? There are a
Yep.
ton of content, tons of courses, certifications. Where do you think someone can actually break the ground in getting started into digital marketing? Because one of the things that I learned by just talking with many students is that, again, it's overwhelming. I do not know where to get started.
Yep.
I mean, it's available, I know that, but where can they start, and how can they reach out to people who might be an expert, maybe on LinkedIn, or to kind of, like, get that exposure? Like, what's the starting point?
Yeah. You raised a lot of good points. A lot of good points. So I want to tackle one. It's very specific. Is not to take credit out of any educational institution, but I did my master's of science in marketing, and nothing I learned there I'm doing at my current job, which is I'm a digital marketing specialist basically. I did learn more in depth about marketing stuff, like psychology of things, I guess. Um, but nothing, and let me say that very clearly, nothing in my master's of marketing prepared me to what I'm doing today. Everything that I learned, um, everything that I'm doing now at my job, I learned through my jobs at, first of all, my internships with my friends, me helping other businesses inside the University of Tampa, all the startups, helping them with marketing. That it helped me like educate myself a lot. I had another job as part of a marketing team at another startup in Tampa. That helped me a lot to get a lot of exposure. Um, and I've learned so much at my current job. So much. I'm surrounded by people that are extremely smart. Like after those years of doing marketing, I thought I knew a lot, and then I came here, and this was like the major league of data marketing. Like all these freaking gurus, they're so smart. So I've been exposed, which is very important to be exposed to people that know more than you. So um, I came here and I've I've been here almost a year, and I've learned so much, so much, so much, so much. So I think where to start is um, you have to start to by exploring your inner curiosity. Don't go into um, a master's of marketing or a undergrad in marketing thinking that you're going to learn the things that you will use in your job. Like you said, yes, getting a degree is going to get you a job somewhere. Pretty sure it will. But just like saying the barrier of entry is low, that means there's a lot of people with a marketing degree, a lot of people that are doing the same thing. So rather than also thinking about where to start is how to make yourself different and better than the thousands of people that are competing next to you. Because all in all, we're all competing, you know, we all want a good job. We all want a good pay. So there are overwhelmingly a lot of different resources online that you can use. Yes, certifications are one of them. Facebook has amazing resources. There's something called Facebook Blueprint. So basically walk you through everything that you need to know. Um, because when you think about it, a publisher like Facebook, a publisher like Google or Bing, ultimately their goal is that you spend money advertising in those publishers, right? So how they get to do this is by educating you how to effectively run ads through the publishers. Because the more effective you are, the more results you're getting, the more money you're putting into them. So the best places to learn about these people, about Facebook, being on Facebook or LinkedIn, are the resources that they're putting out there. They have a lot of resources. Anyone can get certified by Google as an AdWords certified or mobile AdWords certified. Anyone can do that. But to you really know and understand everything that's going on inside a platform, a dashboard, and a publisher, it takes a little bit of time. But I was talking to this about one of my other teammates. We get interns all the time, and for me to see that an intern knows how, just literally just know what the Facebook advertising dashboard looks like, just that they know how it looks like, just that how, just if they know where the buttons are or what button does what, that is extremely helpful. Um, because if you're an intern and you come to a company and you already know what the business manager in Facebook looks like, that's amazing. That will put you up on the top of a lot of interns, or that you know what Google AdWords looks like, even just what it looks like. Yeah, you don't have to know every single thing, but if you can start by just, like I said, channeling your inner curiosity and learn about these tools that they're free to use, by the way. Go in. You don't even have to spend money. Just go in, explore, click here, click there, click the little question marks, learn what this means, learn how to create a campaign on Facebook, learn what an ad set is, um, learn how to create an effective ad. Like all these little things. First of all, it's not hard. It's free to learn, and there are good resources out there. So you can start anywhere. But um, like even me on my with my master's in marketing, I was not exposed to anything of this. I exposed myself through me helping businesses in the entrepreneurship center at the University of Tampa. I exposed myself by speaking with people that were good at this, going to events. uh, hear people speak about digital marketing, walking through us of how to set up an effective campaign and stuff like that. Um, I tend to give really long answers, so I apologize whoever's listening or watching. But yeah, I think just that for me would be the best way. Like if I like we talked about this earlier, if it were me 5 years ago listening to this would be the advice that I would love to hear. Like, yo, you can learn, like, get your hands dirty. Like, yeah, do your freaking textbook homework that you have to do that's due tomorrow, but on your free time, just explore a little bit more. Like, what is digital marketing? What is this Facebook marketing and advertising that everyone's talking about? Like, how are these advertisements on Snapchat working, and how is it so accurate? Like, how do they know I've been looking at Old Spice advertising? Like, how do you know, like, explore your curiosity, dive deep, learn about the little things and the overall um, terms and stuff, and you'll be golden. I'm pretty sure you will.
Yeah, thank you so much for like really diving deep into my question there, Augusto, because sometimes like that's how you kind of like you are so passionate about this topic,
Yeah.
and that's what I see a lot about your posts on LinkedIn, and that's what you really are passionate about and really wanted to share your knowledge in this
Mhm.
space. Because like you kind of learned it on your own to
Yeah.
be like to listening from you so far, and absolutely anybody can do this and irrespective of what background they are, because sometimes a lot of students also approach me and ask, hey, I'm a finance major, I have a job in finance, but I'm still
Mhm.
not liking it, I wanted to transition into marketing,
Mhm.
where should I begin, right? So I always tell them that, hey, if you're trying to get into marketing side of things, it's super easy if you explore digital marketing, because
Yeah.
that is one area where you can just Google
Go
or
in.
learn for yourself and
Mhm.
test it and explore, and you can just put your experience, your own experience in your resume, which is going to be super helpful, as you just mentioned. Like
Yeah.
just getting to know, hey, like what's the Facebook manager look like, and how to post an ad, and how to optimize ads. So those are some
Mhm.
of those key areas, and especially data. Data is the key point, irrespective of like what area that you're going to work in, right? And especially
Yep.
with all the big data and AI stuff that we are seeing every single day, like having those simple skills in data, like how to analyze data, because even though in digital marketing, like that might be one of the major pieces that you're going to work on every single day, looking at the data and seeing, hey, what works and what doesn't, and how to optimize it, and just optimizing the whole process is very key. Now slowly transitioning into the startup side of things, and
Mhm.
you kind of work with a lot of different early stage startups, helping them with their digital marketing, and that's how initially you got exposure to
Yeah.
digital marketing as well. So like you have been mentoring some startups, early stage startups as well. So what's where should people spend most of their time, especially early stage startups who are just building their MVPs, which is minimum viable product, to test
Mhm.
their hypothesis or their ideas, and how can they leverage digital marketing to really learn from their users or potential customers?
Yeah. That's a deep question. There's a lot to unpack, and I believe based on the numerous amount of different startups that I've been exposed to, um, it all depends on obviously where you are in your journey, whether you're a product or a service. Um, but what I learned from me helping different startups is depending on where you are right now, even if you don't even have an MVP and you just have a landing page, getting emails and building that hype around your product or your service, I think data is the most important thing you can do. And the cheapest way, one of the cheapest ways to get data is to drive people to give you their information. So this was something very important with a couple of companies that I helped was let's grab information, let's grab names, let's grab emails, um, and drive traffic to our website. This does multiple things. So one of the things with companies was while driving traffic, you're paying for data. So you're learning through Facebook or Google or whatever you're choosing to advertise from. You're giving Facebook and Google learnings. So you're paying for Google to show this ad to a lot of people, and some people are going to click on it, land on your page, and do whatever you want them to do, whether it be a, sign up for a newsletter or be a lead or give you their information. You're paying for data. As an early startup, like I said, depending on where you are and what your needs are, you can pay for data, which is this. It's just asking people to come to your website and learn and go through this. Because through you bringing traffic to your website, you're going to learn the behavior people are doing in your website. So depending how your website is built, you can install free plugins, things like Hotjar, which basically you are able to record how people, scroll through your website, where they click and stuff like that. So paying for data is really important, and especially as a company that it's just starting, you want to know as quickly as possible if your product is going to fail or not, or what are you going to change. So one of my entrepreneurship professors always nailed to us, fail fast, because you don't want to hold on to a product so long, and you don't want to put it on a pedestal so long just to see that as soon as you launch it, it's going to fail. You basically just want to go quickly and fail fast. Fail fast so you can optimize. So what we basically, when I say we, it's because me and my friend, um, well, he co-founded a marketing company, a startup, which I then joined as an intern, and then through that company, we helped a bunch of other companies. So when I say we, it's just that. But basically, we just taught these small companies, these small startup companies, on how to use the power of just even Facebook to get in front of potential customers. Just showing people your product, your service, just showing people that you have something of value to give, um, in order to retrieve their information, so the email or whatever it is. Um, the power of Facebook, man, incredible. Uh, the power of data. So a lot of people sometimes, and in my experience, get very fixated on, let's just say you're selling a widget, you're selling this pen. A lot of people think that because they're putting an ad on Facebook, all they're doing is selling their pen, and if they're not selling anything, it's a complete failure. But they're looking at things at a silo. So when you're putting an ad to sell this pen, you're not just selling the pen, you're buying data. You're telling people to come and buy this thing, but when they come to your website, um, you have certain things that are tracking those people and the behaviors. Ultimately, if you're not selling a pen, you at least know 1,000 people who are coming to your website are not buying your pen. So you can take those people out of your audience, and you're buying data. So sometimes you're spending money without any sales or any leads, but you have to think about, I'm paying for emails, I'm paying for data. I know that this interest and this behavior that I'm targeting does not work. And you're feeding Facebook a lot of data that is ultimately going to help you in the long run. You know how to optimize your website and stuff like that. So I think, to put things into very simple stuff, it's just that was my biggest learning with companies that I was helping, is shifting this change. Um, a lot of people think just because you're putting an ad on Facebook, you're selling right away, but it's not the case. And you're paying to learn. You're paying to learn your customers, your future customers, what you need to optimize, etc.
Absolutely, because not knowing what doesn't, just knowing what doesn't work is half the battle. Winning,
Yeah.
right? So winning half your battle. So that's very important, as you rightly mentioned. Data is the key. Data
Yeah.
is the centerpiece, and in fact, you also mentioned that we are actually buying the data. I think
Hmm.
that's a great way to put it. And especially during this COVID-19 and everything that's going on, since you're working with a lot of different clients, did you see any shift in their budgets, especially like, what kind of social ads or what specific social platforms you see a spike during this time, especially in the last 3 or 4 months? And what do you suggest, even like startups or anybody who's getting started in digital marketing, to focus more on right now, based upon what you're already observing as you work with a lot of clients?
Yeah. Great question. So as we all know, man, this thing is, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So everything is changing. we're seeing companies boycott Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story. Um, but we see a shift. Um, First, we have to think about our end consumer. So I help companies in different verticals. In the company I'm working with, we work with healthcare companies, non-for-profit. Um, we work with people who sell high-end office supplies. So when you think about it, um, even I was wrong. I thought like, wow, like now everyone's working from home. Nobody's gonna buy office supplies. But then we pivoted. So you start seeing changes in behavior. So you're working from home. So I see you're sitting down on a nice chair. You're probably scrolling through Facebook and you see this other super nice chair that's gonna make your life so much better because now you're working from home until who knows when, right? So we made that shift, we made that pivot in this company, and we started spending more money on Facebook, getting in people's faces, and we actually saw that this company was making way more money. So depending on the vertical that you are, depending on the business that you're in, behaviors are going to change. And the only thing we can do is adapt to those changes. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We know what already happened and how we can adapt to what's going on. Some companies, unfortunately, I saw some companies completely shutting down their their media spend
Mm.
because obviously some businesses are greatly affected by what's going on. So we did see some companies just completely shut off, but we also saw some other companies like like thriving, thriving through the changing behaviors. So for some companies, we completely stopped doing paid media. Some other companies, they tripled, quadrupled their spend because we were seeing positive changes. So it's a big it depends on the vertical that you are. Big it depends on what company and what services you can sell. Um, our main mentality, our main focus was um, let's always try to pivot. Let's always try to change the perspective, and let's always try to find a positive out of the negative um, with our clients. And we were able to effectively do this with a bunch of them. Um, like we said, that example of the office chairs, we were able to sell a lot of office chairs because a lot of people were staying at home, and we were able to play that card, like working from home. These chairs are super awesome. Get one, and they're doing really good.
That's amazing. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing those key insights, because it's very difficult from outside to kind of really um, see those budget changes or different verticals. And as you also mentioned, that it really depends upon the type of business and the shifts and adapting
yeah,
to the changes, and always pivoting is the key, right? Because you never know what happens tomorrow, and you
yeah,
need to adapt and be very flexible. And now slowly shifting towards, like, what are the top tips that you always tell, like, to the startups that you're working with, to make their campaigns effective? And what are some common mistakes that you see people doing when you are seeing ads on, like, whatever the social media that you're using?
yeah. I think to make it just more simple, I think a lot of companies usually tend to gravitate towards Facebook just because it's easier than other publishers, which is good. Don't get me wrong. Um, there's three main things I see. The first mistake I see is that people tend to not realize that different publishers have a different intent. So
Mhm.
let me explain. With Facebook, or when I say Facebook, I say Facebook and Instagram. They're the same company. So when you're scrolling through Instagram, you're just scrolling because you're seeing cool pictures of cars or cool funny videos. You're not actively on Instagram because you're going to stumble upon an advertising. So the intent of Facebook or Instagram is low intent. I'm scrolling, and if I see an ad, you're disrupting my fun. So people don't realize the different intent. Now, if you're on Google, your intent changes. When you're on Google, you're searching what's the best car to buy on a low interest. The, the intent completely changes. While you're seeing a car ad on Facebook that you did not ask for, it's completely different because on Google, you're actively searching for it. So the intent changes. So that's the first mistake. People in startups should realize that us as consumers have different intent. We're ready to buy, we're investigating, or we don't know about the product first, right? So if you don't know about the product, if we shift all our focus on Google, that's going to be very hard to get their attention, because if you don't know this widget exists, how are you going to search for it? So if you're a company that you're looking for a lot of awareness because your product is new and nobody knows about it, maybe a good option is to go on Facebook and try to hit that awareness and just show and be on everyone's faces. But if you're a product that people know about and people might be searching, then maybe you could do something like Google. So it's just knowing the intents. That's the first mistake I see. Um, the second mistake I see is that Facebook gives you a lot of different options to target people. So I'm gonna try and make this simple because I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with how Facebook works, but if you want to target someone, if you want to show your ad to people, you're able to select a lot of different behaviors, a lot of different demographics. So you can get super granular. You can be like, show this ad to people who are interested in soccer, that speak English, that live in Pennsylvania in a 10-mile radius of this stadium. That you can get super granular. So the second mistake I see is that people get too granular, and their targeting is so specific that you're not giving Facebook enough power to reach people. So they either are very granular and they don't allow Facebook to do its job, or they're very broad. They're like, okay, here's an ad to show it to a bunch of people, which is bad. You want to kind of be in the middle, you know. Here's some data, Facebook. Now use this data to target people. So that's the second mistake. People being extremely granular because they think if they're more specific in their targeting, they're going to be better, or they think just going broad and trying to hit 300 million people is going to do the job. So that's the second mistake. And then the third and last mistake I see most often is the creative. Um, the creative is the video or the picture that you're seeing on Facebook. So um, the creative can make it or break it. The copy in your ad can make it or break it. So this is where testing comes from. But they're industry standards, and Facebook will actually let you know if your image is gonna work or not. You don't want a lot of text in your image. You want your videos to be short and captivating, and you want your copy to be effective. You don't want your copy to be like the copy you see in a billboard that says like, "Are you hurt? Call this number." No, you don't want something like that. You want something that doesn't look like you. So it's funny because you want to show an ad that doesn't look like an ad. Because like I said earlier, if you're disrupting somebody from scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, you want this image to captivate their attention, but it also doesn't look like an ad itself, because we see so many ads every day that we know how to skip through it quickly. Um, so that's the third biggest mistake I see, is just ineffective creative and ineffective copywriting.
That's such great tips, Augusto, because it's really important. I mean, even for starters who are listening to this, to really understand what are those common mistakes. Even experts do a lot of mistakes, and they
You'll be
kind of
surprised, yeah.
yeah, and they are kind of like I mean, they learn through that experience, and again, it's centered around data, and sometimes just getting a new set of eyes to take a look at it and then see how what works and what doesn't. It's super important, and thanks for sharing such kind of like deep insights, because
Yeah.
you're an expert in this space and you kind of like see this every day.
Yeah,
Hey
thank
guys,
you.
like when you're scrolling through a Facebook post or an Instagram, hey, this could have been much better. Like now, if I
Yeah.
were the one who posted this ad, like these are some of the changes that I would take. That's awesome. So, any
Hmm.
courses that you would suggest to any folks who are listening to kind of like go through that are already available, that can really help them? Like any courses that you came across, hey, like this is super nice course that anybody can go through it and then uh, get into digital marketing. Are there any courses that people can go through or get their hands on?
Thinking. I'm sure there are. The one that pops into my head, Facebook Blueprint.
Okay.
That is just very deep. It goes into everything, and uh, I think fortunately, because of what's happening in the world right now, a bunch of companies are giving free training or free courses. Um, I don't know off the top of my head. I just the first that comes up is Facebook Blueprint.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, it's just a good resource to learn. Mm,
Any specific certifications that you would suggest newbies who are getting into digital marketing?
AdWords certification. I
Mhm.
think advertising on Google
So
is
Google
important.
AdWords and advertising on Google are the main certifications that you usually see a lot of even interns can take in, and people
Yeah,
who are just trying to break into digital marketing.
yeah. In our company, we encourage everyone to have those certifications because even though we do this every day, it's always good to have some refresher and understand even the basics. Sometimes we miss the basics. We go in too deep that we miss the basic stuff. So, AdWords certifications, they're free. Um, Try to look for any Facebook certifications there. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Um, yeah, and,
Okay,
and yeah, those are the biggest ones. Those are the two biggest ones that I see. And if you have time to go into those two and really understand those two, jump into Microsoft Bing as well. Jump into Snapchat advertising and TikTok advertising. So that's also coming up, even though with what's happening right now. But just being in the know, learn what's there to learn. But those two big ones I think are super important. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Facebook
great.
and Google.
That's awesome. And one last topic that I wanted to touch base upon, like being an international student here in the US, what were what was your journey so far as taught you, and what are some of the things that you wanted to share with fellow students who are going
Yeah,
through that same journey?
man, it's been crazy. We yeah, it's like we come here and we get thrown a lot of obstacles. So thankfully, I did my undergrad in the University of Tampa. I was offered a full-time job after my undergrad as a marketing member for a startup in Tampa. So I did my OPT year with them, and then through me working with them, I was able to pull a scholarship to do my master's. So I was able to do my master's and keep my student status. Um, and then through my master's, I took my time. I could have finished the master's in I think a year or a year and a half. I took 2 years, took my time because that time was very special for me because I was able to do a lot of networking, meet a lot of people, learn everything that I wasn't learning during my master's. I was learning by my own, by helping companies, by going to the entrepreneurship center at my university and sitting down with people who own businesses, hear their issues, and see how I can help them. And then after my master's, I was able to land a job in Nashville, Tennessee, which when I first came here, I've never been to Nashville. So I was offered the job and I moved in. I think I gave my boss like a week. I was like, yo, like I can be there next week. Like I'm all for it. So I think my biggest tips is we're already outside of our home, or we're thousands of miles away from our home. Let's make it worth it. Like if you find a job in I don't know, man, Wisconsin, North Dakota, take it, go there, explore. Do it. And don't get me wrong, me finding this job was extremely difficult. Um, One of the things I get asked the most is how did you get that job, which is amazing, and I'm extremely blessed to have this job. Um, Kid you not, I during my last 2 semesters in my master's, I applied to at least more than 300 jobs around the U.S. I have an Excel spreadsheet with the names of every company, every position, all the emails of everyone that I reached out to, how many times I reached out to. I literally have it in a huge spreadsheet. I still have it in this computer, man. And I applied to a lot of different jobs. I embraced rejection, um, meet a lot of people, knock on doors. I even took it as far as going to literally, I went to an office in downtown Tampa to an agency and I knocked on their door with my resume. And I was like, hey, here I am. I'm looking for a job. This is my resume. I even did that, man. Like I said, we have a lot of obstacles to go through, but I believe that if we're persistent, if we prepare ourselves um, to get ahead of the curve, to be on top of that competition that I mentioned before, I think we'll be able to, us as international students, will be able to, stay here, get a job, be better than we were yesterday, and just make a really good career here in the U.S.
Such a great advice for all the students who are listening. And as you rightly mentioned, we are so far away from home, and we need to make the best use of our time here
Yeah,
and really explore a lot of different career options and never give up. And just, and
never.
everybody has to go through that pain, but ultimately, like, you will be successful. And just embracing that rejections is going to be very, very key.
Yep.
And you're going to learn so much from this whole experience. That's why we are here.
Yeah.
And like, no matter what, we are going to do well in our careers just from this whole experience. So that's what I
100%.
always tell students. And thank you so much, Augusto. It was real pleasure talking to you and learning from your story, coming from Colombia and making your mark in the digital marketing space and helping your
Yeah.
clients, and your expertise in digital marketing, and also willing to share your knowledge with a lot of students and a lot of folks who are interested in digital marketing is super inspirational. And
Thank you.
keep up the great work that you're already doing, and all the very best to you in all your endeavors. And thank you so much. So where can students or professionals who wanted to reach out to you can connect with you?
LinkedIn is the best place. LinkedIn, hit me up there, and I would love to help you out and point you in the right direction if I can. But yeah, I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad for this opportunity. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. LinkedIn, first name, last name, you'll find me there, and let's connect.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to add your LinkedIn uh, profile in the description as well, so that it is going to be easy
Beautiful.
for folks to reach out to you as well. And thank you so much for being on the show today, Augusto.
The pleasure's all mine, my man. Thank you.